Welcome to this lesson on night operations. Flying at night can be incredibly rewarding. Smooth air, less traffic, and often a more peaceful environment. But with those benefits come unique challenges. Reduced visibility, limited options for emergency landings, and a higher likelihood of disorientation make it a demanding environment. In this session, we'll explore how to fly safely and confidently at night by understanding the physiological, operational, and technical aspects of night flight. We'll also cover illusions, lighting techniques, pre-flight considerations, and emergency procedures. Let's get started. Night flying is fundamentally different from flying during the day. While the atmosphere tends to be calmer due to reduced convective activity and radio communications are quieter, there are fewer visual references, and hazards can be hidden in darkness. You might enjoy shorter routes due to less crowded airspace, and spotting aircraft can be easier because of position lights. However, terrain and obstructions like mountains can become completely invisible. Emergency landings are riskier, as suitable areas are harder to identify. Weather can sneak up on you because it's harder to see developing clouds or precipitation. And ground operations can be more complex with lower visibility, making runway and taxiway identification challenging. These are all factors we'll prepare for today. Let's talk about how our eyes work in darkness. Vision at night is heavily dependent on the rod cells in our retinas. These cells are highly sensitive to low light, but don't perceive color or detail well. Cone cells located in the center of the retina handle color and fine detail, but they require bright light and become ineffective at night. This leads to a night blind spot in the center of our vision. That's why pilots are taught to use off-center viewing, scanning about 5 to 10 degrees to the side of an object. Night vision takes about 30 minutes to fully develop after being in darkness, but even a brief exposure to bright light can ruin it. Keep in mind that night vision can also degrade due to hypoxia, medications, or carbon monoxide exposure, especially at altitude. Understanding and protecting your night vision is critical to safe flying. Night flying is notorious for producing spatial disorientation and visual illusions. Without reliable outside references, the inner ear can mislead us, causing pilots to bank or descend without realizing it. The best way to stay oriented is to constantly cross-check your instruments. Use vertical guidance like VASI or PAPI when available to help stabilize your approaches. Illusions you may encounter include the false horizon, where city lights or sloping terrain mislead you about your pitch attitude. Autokinesis, where a stationary light appears to move if you stare at it too long. And the black hole effect, where featureless terrain makes the aircraft appear higher than it really is, leading to dangerously low approaches. Also be mindful of reversible perspective illusions. Another aircraft's lights might make it seem like it's moving away when it's actually coming toward you. Always double-check movement and position lights. Green on the left means it's coming toward you. These illusions are dangerous, but manageable if you're aware and prepared. Interior lighting is an important part of night operations. You should dim your PFD or MFD displays and cockpit lights to the lowest usable setting. Bright lights impair your night vision. Only use necessary lights and continue dimming as your eyes adapt. For equipment, you'll need 2 flashlights, a white one for the pre-flight inspection and a red one for reading charts in flight. Red light preserves your night adaptation, although it does distort colors, so charts and checklists may look different. If you're using a tablet like ForeFlight, switch it to night mode. And finally, avoid looking at bright strobes on the ramp. They can temporarily blind you, setting back your night vision for several minutes. Pre-flighting an aircraft at night requires even more attention than during the day. Begin by confirming that all required night equipment is present and functional. You'll need everything from the A tomato flames list for day VFR, plus flaps for night. That's fuses, a landing light if flying for higher, anti-collision lights, position lights, and a source of electrical power. Use your white flashlight to conduct a thorough walk-around, focusing on lights and electrical components. Avoid looking directly at strobes and check the ramp for obstructions. Pay close attention to the windscreen, too, Smudges or bugs that wouldn't be noticeable during the day can create dangerous glare at night. When starting the engine at night, it's important to be extra cautious. Turn on position and anti-collision lights before the start and verbally announce "clear prop." Don't activate unnecessary systems before the engine is running to prevent battery drain. During taxi, remember that other aircraft and obstacles are harder to see. Use your navigation and position lights, and avoid using strobes if they're distracting others. Turn the taxi light on only while moving. When stopped or yielding, turn it off. Always taxi slower at night. Your reaction time needs to be longer. Use an airport diagram and be familiar with taxiway lights and signs. And when crossing any runway, ensure all exterior lights are on to increase your visibility. During run-up, be especially cautious. Airplane movement is harder to detect in the dark. Takeoff at night follows the same procedures as daytime, but with significantly reduced visual feedback. Always verify that you're on the correct runway by checking signs, heading, and lighting. Make sure you have all lights turned on, including landing lights, before beginning the roll. Line up slightly offset from the center line to help landing aircraft distinguish you from the runway center lights. During the takeoff roll, you won't have strong visual cues for alignment, so cross-check your instruments often. After liftoff, continue to monitor your climb using the attitude indicator, VSI, and altimeter. Be especially mindful of the black hole departure. Flying away from a lighted area into darkness can cause you to inadvertently lower the nose and descend. In flight, visual navigation becomes more challenging. Good reference points include city lights, major roads, and patterned street grids. Airport beacons, flashing green and white, are critical for locating fields. At night, ground lighting looks different depending on your altitude. Cities can appear closer or farther than they really are. Watch carefully for signs of entering IMC. Halos around lights, a gradual loss of ground detail, or light reflections in the clouds are all warnings. If you suspect IMC, turn around and return to VMC conditions. Flying over water is another challenge. It can blend completely with the horizon, making it nearly impossible to judge pitch or bank. In these situations, your instruments are your best friends. Trust them. Entering and flying the traffic pattern at night requires extra care. First, locate the airport beacon and activate the lighting system if needed by keying the mic. Confirm that you're lined up with the correct runway by comparing the lighting layout and heading indicator. Once identified, fly the pattern just like you would during the day, using consistent power settings, speeds, and flap configurations. Be cautious of illusions, especially on base and final, where the runway might appear closer or farther than it really is. Use all available visual cues and maintain situational awareness. Keep the runway in sight throughout the pattern. A night approach should be stable and deliberate, with frequent cross-checks of your instruments. If there are no centerline lights, align yourself between the runway edge lights. Use Poppy or Vasi if available. They are excellent tools for vertical guidance. During landing, depth perception can be unreliable. If you have landing lights, begin the flare when you see the tire marks. If not, use the far end of the runway as a visual cue. When those lights begin to rise above your nose, it's time to flare. Set a proper landing attitude and aim for a smooth, gradual descent. Keep a little power in to avoid a hard landing. If anything feels off, don't hesitate to go around. Fly a standard go-around using a smooth transition back to climb, again with extra focus on your instruments. Emergencies at night are inherently more difficult. In the event of an electrical failure, follow your checklist, reduce the load, switch to backup instruments, and land as soon as practical. In case of an engine failure, your procedure is largely the same as during the day. Pitch for best glide, select a landing area, run the checklist, and prepare to land. But at night, finding a suitable landing site is harder. If you know the area and it is generally non-mountainous terrain, it might be safer to aim for dark spots. They may be open fields. Roads might look tempting, but they come with hazards like power lines or traffic. Parking lots are another option, but they pose risks to people on the ground. Use good aeronautical decision-making and aim for survivability. When possible, choose a location near public access. It can make rescue and response faster. And that wraps our lesson on night operations. Thanks for watching. And if you like this content, please consider subscribing. This will help us create more lessons like this. Have safe flights.